Welcome Kasturians. In this video we will discuss chapter 3 of history, that is an early empire across the three continents. This chapter is actually related to the study of the Roman Empire. So let's begin our chapter. Rome was one of the two most powerful empires that was spread across the three continents, namely Europe, Asia and Africa. Actually, it was two powerful empires that ruled the Europe, North Africa and Middle East. And these two empires were Rome and Iran. It was a rivalry, age-long rivalry between Iran and Roman Empire, that they fought almost against each other for much of their history. But the Iranian Empire and Roman Empire, they were considered to be the most powerful empires, and out of these two, Roman Empire was considered to be more prosperous, diverse as well as powerful empire. And these two empires, they were separated by the Mediterranean region, that is a region which is actually separated by a stretch of sea, and it is stretched along the river Euphrates. In this we have the modern day Spain and Syria, that is included in the Mediterranean region. So it was the Mediterranean region or Mediterranean Sea that was actually a sort of boundary line, or was the separation point of between the Iranian and Roman Empire. So it was the Roman Empire. When we see the Roman Empire, how we were able to reconstruct the history of the Roman empires, it was basically with the help of three types of sources. First, the written texts, second, the documents, and third, the material remains. In the written text comes or includes the histories which are written by contemporaries. They are also known as annals. Then the documents. In the documents we have documentary sources, we have the inscriptions basically written, as well as the documents on papyrus scrolls. The third is the material remains, that is the buildings, monuments, pottery, coins and all such archaeological sources. So all these three sources are, using these three sources we are able to reconstruct the history of the Roman Empire. As I just told, before the birth of Christ, it was the Roman Empire and the Iranian Empire which were the two most powerful empires of the European continent. The Roman Empire, it stretched from Spain to Syria in the east, along the Mediterranean Sea into the Africa's desert, that is the Great Sahara Desert. In the north, the boundaries were marked by river Rhine and Danube, and in the south it was the Sahara Desert, like I just told. When we look at the Iranian Empire, it controlled the entire area which was lying to the south of the Caspian Sea, to the eastern Arabia, and that of at times the large part of Afghanistan was also under the control of Iranian Empire or Emperor. The Roman Empire, it can be broadly divided into two phases: the early Roman Empire and the late Roman Empire. The early empire was basically the empire which flourished and prospered during the 3rd century BCE. That is, the main developments they took place during the 3rd century BCE, that was termed as the early Roman Empire. And the period after the 3rd century, in which various historical events they happened, that is known as the late Roman Empire. Now the major differences between the Roman and Iranian empires were, when we look at the Roman Empire, it was actually composed of a diverse population, whereas the Iran, it was ruling over the Iranian regions. The Parthians and Sasanians dynasties ruled Iran during this period, and they ruled largely over the Iranian population, whereas there were a variety of territories divided as provinces having varied cultures which were bound by the common form of government or common system of government. Many languages were spoken in the Roman Empire, but it was the Greek as well as the Latin language which was used only for the administrative purposes. The upper class of the East, they spoke Greek, and those who were living in the western part, they spoke Latin. The people in the Roman Empire, they were subjects of a single ruler, that is, whether they are divided in different provinces, they are living in different parts of the Roman Empire, they are living in the different provinces, they are headed by different provincial head, but all of them were considered to be subject of the or belonging to the Roman Empire. That means कि for the entire empire there was only a single emperor. The empire was to be ruled and all the administrative work was to be carried on by the name of the emperor or in the name of the emperor. So the three main players or key players in the political, when we see the political scenario, in the political scenario, the three key players were the emperor, the senate, and the army. Why senate? Because senate was considered to be one of the most powerful institutions, and it was the senate which was actually taken help by the emperor in case of framing policies or formulating policies. It was the senate which was to be consulted by the king, and the senate included several members. So it was a group of several members, that is a body which was dominated by a small group of wealthy families who were actually belonging to the nobles or who were termed as the nobility. So this senate was very important institution, and it was the senate which was to be consulted from upon by the emperor from time to time, and that shows the importance of senate. But apart from this, it was the army which was one of the important key institution during the imperial rule in the Roman Empire. The army was a conscripted army. No, the army was not a conscripted army. See, conscripted army is army in which forced recruitment is there, means every citizen of the country is bound to serve for the army or as a army personnel for a specific time period. After that he can return back and do other types of work, but for a fixed time period he has to serve in the army without getting any payment. But the Roman army, it was not a conscripted army. In fact, it was a professional army where the soldiers, they have to put in a minimum of 25 days of service in case of conscripted. But when the army was paid, it was a distinctive feature, that an important feature that makes it different from the Iranian Empire, that in Iranian Empire it was the conscripted army, whereas in the Roman Empire it was the highly professional and paid army. Instead, the existence of army being the largest single organized institution in the empire, it had the power to determine the fate of emperors, means the fate of an emperor will be decided by the army he is having, because there were sometimes the revolts or mutinies within the army, which were to be controlled by the emperor. Then we have the futures of Roman army. We have just discussed, but this army, it was a paid and professional army where soldiers, they had to put up 25 years of service. The existence of paid army, I just told you, it was a distinctive feature. The army was hated by the senators. Why? Because the Senate, earlier it was the Senate which was to be consulted by the emperor before deciding anything, and Senate was very important. But with the growing army, the importance of Senate, it was coming down, and the senators, they used to hate the army personals because of this reason, or because of the growing effect or impact of the army. Thus, it is very, it will not be wrong to say that the emperor, the aristocracy, and the army, they were the three key players in the political history of the empire. The succession to the throne in the Roman Empire was basically dependent upon the family descent, whether it is natural or whether it is adopted. It was the decisive factor. The family descent was the decisive factor in the succession to the throne in the Roman Empire, and the army was also wedded in this concept. Like Tiberius, he was not the natural adopted son of Augustus, but Augustus, he adopted Tiberius to carry on with the same possession of heiring to the throne. The Augustan age is remembered as the age of peace because it was during this age that no such conflicting arguments were created in the army, and Augustus, he never quarreled with the Senate also. So it brought peace, and there was no sense of civil war in the empire. So this age is considered to be a peaceful age. It brought, the Augustan rule brought peace after decades of internal strife and conflicts. Also, the external warfare, which was a characteristic of the Roman Empire, it took place during the Augustan age or Augustan period. So that's why this particular period for which the Augustus ruled, Emperor Augustus ruled, it is still remembered to be as the one of the most peaceful years in the Roman history of the Roman Empire. When we see the administration, in administration wise, Roman Empire was having a efficient and powerful administration. The empire was controlled and administered by the help of urbanization. All the territories of the empire, they were organized into provinces, and they all had to pay the taxes. Carthage, Alexandria, and Antioch, these were the one of the three important cities which were developed across the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, and they were the foundation of the imperial system. These were the very important trading towns. In fact, they were developed as trading towns, and these cities were the source of tax collection from the province by the emperor, and it was through these cities that the tax was the emperor was able to collect the tax from the countryside, and this was one of the major source of wealth generation for the empire. It also shows that the upper class who was living in the different provinces, that is the local upper class, they were actively involved with the Roman state, that in a way that they were administration, they were bringing about administration, or they were administering their own territory as well as the provinces, and they were collecting the taxes from the people who were living in these provinces or the territories. The 2nd and 3rd century, when we see, the provincial upper class provided experienced officers who were capable enough to administer the province and command the army both. So these important cities, which cities? City of Carthage, Alexandria and Antioch. These cities, they became the centers of provisional administration, right? And they became the new elite people, who? The upper class, the local upper class, who were honest for the emperor. They became the what? Elites of the Roman Empire. That is the new elite class of the Roman Empire. These people, they controlled the army and they looked after the provincial administration, like I just told a few sentences back. So they became much more powerful than the senatorial class, that is the senators, because these nobles or these people, they were having the support from the emperor, that is they were having backing from the emperor. When emperors, they keep on changing. So Emperor Gallienus, he tried to consolidate the power, his rise to power, by excluding the senate from military command. Means earlier it was the senators who were commanding the military, but now he made some changes. Who? Gallienus. He made the changes, and now he excluded the senate from military command. And he did this. Why he did this? In order to prevent control of the empire from falling into their hands, right? Now, according to the historians, a Roman city means, when we were talking about city, like we talked about Carthage, Alexandria and Antioch, these were cities. So when we are mentioning some place as a city, what does it mean? It means that particular place is an urban center with all magistrates, it's their own magistrates, their own council and a territory that will contain villages under jurisdiction. The villages, they could be upgraded as the cities, means their status can be improved or developed when they were developed, and vice versa. So it was generally a mark of favor if the villages, they were being developed as a city. So it shows that the emperor is having some favor, is providing some favor in particular to that village which is going to be developed as a city. So the Romans, they used to live, or the people who were living in the remote villages, they used to migrate to the cities. Why? What was the reason why it was so? It was so because when we are living in the city, when the people, they were living in the city, they were getting the advantage that it might be better, whatever advantages they were deprived of, they will get the advantages in a better provided manner during food shortages and during the famines in the countryside. And the public baths were also there, so that these cities, they were having public bath, and the urban population enjoyed a high level of entertainment from these. That's all we have in this video. We will conclude this chapter in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.